Coming up, he is a 9 times award-winning and 11 times international best-selling author. He owns a successful publishing company, and he is now a filmmaker. But first, welcome to Imagine Peace, the podcast that invites you on a transformative journey toward a world filled with harmony and understanding. Together, let's ignite the flame of peace within ourselves and radiate it outward so we can have a future where unity prevails. This is Imagine Peace, where dreams become reality. Join us as we explore the power of compassion, the beauty of diversity, and the potential for positive change. Hi, I'm MarBeth Dunn with 10 million for world peace. And I'm here on Imagine Peace with my dear friend Keith Leon. He is a 9 times award-winning and 11 times international best-selling author. He owns a successful publishing company, and he is also a filmmaker. He's appeared on many popular radio and TV shows on ABC, CBS, NBC, and the Jenny McCarthy Show, just to name a few. And his work has been covered by Inc. magazine, LA Weekly, the Huffington Post, Published magazine, and Succeed magazine. Keith has a compelling and inspirational story growing up with a manic, depressed mother and no father. And he barely graduated high school. And he's had encountered with angels. He recently interviewed doctors, scientists, researchers, and health advocates to explore very important health-related topics. And his film is called The Inside Effects, How the Body Heals Itself. And that launched in July of this past year. And in the film, he shares his personal journey of healing and explores the many health-related topics with experts that include Dr. John Demartini, Dr. Bradley Nelson, as well as health advocates, J.P. Sears, Kyle Cease, and Lynn McTaggart. This is just a small list of the people in the film. So welcome, Keith. We're really glad and very excited to have you here on 10 Million for World Peace and Imagine Peace.
So thank you. It is great to be with you again. And believe it or not, that's the short bio.
Well, I know that you're really, you've done so many amazing things. And I know you've had like Michael Beckwith as in what is it, the prologue to your books in the past?
Yeah, and Jack Canfield. Mm-hmm.
Very cool. Yeah. I know when you do something, you do it really well.
Thank you.
Yeah. So tell us about like what you're doing now.
Wow. What am I doing now? I'm publishing authors. I am going to be working on another film.
What's that going to be?
It's called Navigating the Clickety Clack, How to Live a Peaceful Life.
Oh, from your book.
Yeah, I have a book series that we're already four books in. It's been really successful. And so I'm actually going to have an event for speakers, and they come to Lake Placid, New York for 3 days. And in those 3 days, we shoot so much footage that they end up having their signature talk, a demo reel, they'll be in a film, and in the next Navigating the Clickety Clack book. So it'll be every element you would need to really be able to launch your speaker business. All those elements will be made in one place. So it's going to be a lot of fun.
Oh, that's awesome. That's really great.
Yeah. So that's coming up. And meanwhile, I've got another Inside Effects book because the first one was so well received. It was the hugest release we've ever had, and we've had some big releases, but it came out at the same time as the movie, the Inside Effects book, and just so many people are having so much great success, and they just want to hear more from more people about how they healed and get more tips and tools about healing. So the second book is underway right now. We're working on that.
So you've had encounters with angels. You want to talk about that?
Oh, sure. Started when I was a child, and like I said, in the bio, it said my mother was manic depressive and in the bed, had no father. Grandmother did her best to help me raise me, but I was by myself a lot. And so my guardian angel started talking to me and really kept me out of harm's way, like many times. Was the mentor father figure that I didn't have, really. And it's funny, I did an interview one time with the psychologist, and she's like, I can hear all of my psychiatrist friends, so I have to say this, could it really have been your imaginary friend? Because you didn't have any leadership and blah blah blah. And I said, does an imaginary friend say, like, don't go between those two buildings? And you find out that at that time, 5 or 10 minutes later, something really gnarly happened right in between those two buildings. Like, does a imaginary voice tell you exactly how to keep from getting molested behind the church around the corner from my house? Like, there were just so many things that were far beyond imaginary friend. She was like, all right, I'm with you. It was for them, she said.
Oh,
I,
that's great.
I had to play angel's advocate because I knew they were spinning that around in their head, but she said, I read your book, I know better.
Oh,
So
well,
it's,
that's great.
yeah, so it started then, and then in my early 20s, literally had an angel come to me in the flesh, get to know me really well, just like as a person, right? That's how he appeared, as a person, and we just hung out and got to be friends, and then eventually he would tell me why he was here, which was to take me from believing in nothing to believing in everything, so that he could eventually, at some point, uh, put me on my path, my life path, tell me why I was here, and then he would save my life. And once he did that, then I had to let him go, because then he would be assigned to someone else. So he was what he called a real earthbound angel, not just somebody that does good deeds. That's what we usually call earthbound angels, but literally there are a group of people that are assigned to go around and work with people to keep them from dying before their predetermined expiration date. Because as
How
he
did he
said,
save your life?
yeah, he said, it would have a not so great effect on the planet if I died. So I thought that was interesting. Um, well, ultimately, that was also my kind of deep dark drug phase. And I just spun out and did like 13 and a half days straight of crystal meth. And I had barely slept in 13 and a half days. And he disappeared during that whole time. And so I heard his truck pull up and he knocked on the door, and then he just like grabbed me by the back of the neck and pulled me in the bathroom, put me in front of the mirror and said, you have 2 weeks to live or die. It's your choice. But either way, I'm not going to stand here and watch it. And left me standing in front of the mirror. And every prediction that he had ever made, and he made many, I mean, world events, everything, to prove to me that when he made a prediction, it came true 100% of the time. So when he said, you have 2 weeks to live or die, it's your choice, I knew. And to be honest, I had to really sit on it. That's how bad it was. I had to think, do I even want to live? And I had to, so it was a whole process of deciding which way to go. So I chose to stay and to live into my purpose, which is pretty much everything that I do, that you've watched me do over the years, is why I'm here. And that's why I believe that things do go so well. And I do get big name people who normally would say no, say yes, because they feel the energy that they're supposed to be part of what I'm doing. And
Well,
so a
you're
lot of
so
people,
authentic, Keith.
mm,
There's really a depth to you that I think people can really relate to.
yeah,
So let's
thank you.
talk a little bit about peace since we're on Imagine Peace. Um,
Hmm.
yeah, what do you do for becoming more peaceful?
Ooh, so many things. Um, in the short term, like any time during the day, I have found that 3 breaths is such a magical tool. No matter how I'm feeling or what's going on, if I just stop down, the first breath, I just let it out. The second time, I say, let anything that happened before this moment leave that behind me on the second breath. third breath I take in and I hold and I say, coming into this present moment. And no matter what's going on, it seems like what kind of stress I think I have, that by the end of that third breath, I realize like I have all that I need in this moment. And that's this breath. And that's it. Um, Another thing that I do is I would say call it visualization, or for people who say, yeah, but I don't see anything, then I would say imagination. And then I like to take visualization a little further if I want to manifest quicker. And I do feelingization. So I
Hmm.
feel the feeling of that which I am visualizing,
Yes,
saying,
I
imagining,
get
right?
you.
Yeah, and so feelingization, I learned from one of my mentors many, many years. And he's the one that said the term clickety clack, which is why I ended up doing a whole book series. He was one of my mentors and he passed away. Um, and I love the Four Agreements, right? Love the Four Agreements. And those have really helped. It's a book by Don Miguel Ruiz.
Of course.
And yeah, and I love those agreements. Um,
Well, that's
I,
beautiful, being impeccable with your word. And
mhm.
yeah,
Always
well,
do your best and
yeah,
don't take anything personally.
it's a big one.
That is a big one.
So, and moving on to taking things personally,
Yeah,
what are your thoughts about world peace? Do you think it's possible?
I do, but I think it's for me, that's a personal process, like for me,
Mhm.
because if somebody talks about war, I'm like, is there a war in me? Like, I feel like it all starts right here. So this is what I'm
Mhm.
working on, bringing to peace in each moment. And I remember so many years ago when I first got into meditating, I was like, if we could just get the whole world to just sit down and take 3 breaths at the same time, in that moment, there would be world peace. So but that was a thought, a grand thought, mind you, but it was outside of me, right? If we could just get all these other people to sit down and take a breath,
Mhm.
and having this vision for others to join me in this thing, that created like a lack feeling, like there isn't peace, there isn't peace. So if
Okay.
I'm thinking there isn't peace, then I'm not in peace. So I've really learned that it's an inside job for me. And how many ways can I be peaceful? How can I be more loving? How can I be more caring today? How can I be more giving today? Right. And so I worry about what I call my 3 feet. So if I was standing up and I drew 3 circles, or drew a 3 foot circle around me, that's the part that I can control. That's the part that I want to be in peace. And so I work on that 3 feet first. How am I in this 3 feet? Am I loving myself unconditionally, pockmarks and all? Whatever weight I'm at, like, am I truly loving myself, being peaceful, giving myself love that I freely give to everybody else? And so I work on my 3 feet. And then when I get that 3 feet where it's peaceful and loving and kind, then I start to notice anytime that anybody comes in my 3 feet space, how am I with them? Am I loving them? Am I peaceful with them? Am I unconditionally loving them? Am I kind to them? How are my words? Am I being impeccable with my words with them? Right. And this is a process that I did many years ago. And then because I wanted to help the world, right? I wanted to be the speaker and speak to the world. So once I had where each time someone was in my 3 feet, I was peaceful and loving and kind to them. Then I started speaking. Then it was that room. Mm, I'm expanding my circle to the room. How am I being with the people that I'm speaking with in the room? Am I loving them? Am I kind? If they raise a hand and ask a question, am I like, that's a silly question? Or am I like, there are no silly questions. Everybody learns no matter what the question is, right? That type of thought, and being loving and kind and generous, especially generous, with everyone in the room, then I can start doing interviews. Once I had that, right? Then I could start thinking grander. But I didn't feel like I could jump from one all the way to the other when this part right here wasn't peaceful.
I think that's really important because it's hard to really envision world peace
Mm,
when we're not peaceful inside.
right.
I think that's a really important component. And well, you were involved in my last world peace experiment 5 years ago, the
Mm,
World Miracle Peace Experiment, where we meditated for 7 minutes every day for world peace. And we
mhm,
had amazing statistics that showed that during the time of our experiment, the level of violence in the Middle East dropped 20%.
mm,
So we're doing it again. And when we first launched our challenge in September, we have statistics. We were not the only ones. We didn't have a very large audience, but there were a lot of other peace organizations meditating at the same time, leading up to World Peace Day.
mm,
And level of violence against civilians dropped 38%.
mm. That's
We
amazing.
had amazing statistics from the ACLED. So I know that, where do I want to go with this? Um, what are your thoughts about moving into unified consciousness with intention?
Mm. Ah, wow. Well, I loved being a part of that, of course. The world meditation, and I for many years was with the spiritual center that was pretty big and across the US, and we would get up at the crazy hour that it was here in the US to match up with everybody else in the world. And and that was incredible. And but even when I think of what you just said, I still think of me, right? I still think of um, starting right here, and then seeing and visualize and feeling eyes and do all the eyes, right? For the world, for the universe, right? Love to start by sending that wave of peace, and then seeing the wave of peace fill this RV park that I'm in, and then fill the state of Florida, and then expand to ultimately encompass the earth, and then continue to go out, out, out into infinity, right? As far
It's a
as
gorgeous
my,
vision. It really
yeah,
is.
as far as I can even conceive, and just send that wave of love, and know that everything is energy, and even me sitting in this space right here doing that makes a difference. So many people these days are empaths, right? Are just empathic and
Yep.
can feel energy. And so
Guilty.
yeah, I feel like when I send that wave, it's absolutely feasible that there are people who go, whoa, and feel it
He's at it again.
yeah, exactly. I don't know who this guy is, but whoo, I felt that.
Yeah. No,
So,
absolutely. I mean, we're very powerful, and
mhm,
we just forget. We think we're limited to a physical body, but we
mhm,
are so much greater than that. So
mhm,
I love that, and I love that, it starts within your personal responsibility and expands out. That's
mhm,
wonderful.
mhm. So
Yeah. So
the whoosh, I call it whoosh.
whoosh, 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 whoosh. So how can people reach you, Keith? And is there something you would really like to share with our audience?
Hmm. Well, all you ever need to do is go put Keith Leon S. People forget the S, but Keith Leon S in the Google, and you'll see everything I've done forever, and certainly my website, which has a contact form, so you can reach me there. Um, and as far as what I would love everybody to know is something that I've been saying since the first time I got on a stage or on camera, since the beginning, if you will, and that is that you make a difference in this world, and this world would not be the same without you. And people around you, people, friends, people that you love, like they think you already know that you make a difference in their life, so they may forget to tell you. And so for all the people who have forgotten to tell you in this lifetime, you make a difference. And you could have saved a life today by smiling at somebody and saying hello. And what you don't know is that person felt like they weren't seen, like nobody saw them, and they were going to go take their life that day. And but you saw them, and on their way home, they thought, well, maybe if they see me, maybe other people see me, and maybe they talked themselves out of it on the way home. And you would never know that. But every smile, every nod, every hug, every way that you show up in love for others makes a difference. So you absolutely make a difference. And want to tell you that for anybody who ever forgot to tell you. You make a difference. Thank you for being the gift of you.
Ooh, that is so beautiful. So beautiful, Keith. Really, just a single act of kindness, a smile.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's so powerful. Wow. Thank you so much for joining us today.
You're welcome.
And maybe we'll have you back. That would be awesome.
All right. All right.
So much love. Imagine Peace is brought to you by 10 Million for World Peace. Join our daily 7-minute guided meditations for world peace and monthly healing circles at 10millionforworldpeace.org. Together we can create a peaceful, happy planet.